Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome back to Rimworld Anomaly Until Dawn's End. Now, before we get back into the game, as I warned in the prologue video 0, because of how Rimworld Anomaly is relatively new and a lot of things being updated and changed, both the game itself has been updated and I've had to change the mod list. So I'm just going to quickly go over the changes. First of all, Rimworld Anomaly has had an update which basically integrates it better with the base game. This was one of my concerns that I've had, and I know people like Mr. Samuel Streamer have basically commented on it, was that though Rimworld Anomaly was really good, it felt more like a standalone DLC pack rather than something that sort of was complementary into the base game of Rimworld. Like if you were playing Rimworld Anomaly, it felt that you were just playing, like you had to just focus on Rimworld Anomaly. It wasn't something that worked in collaboration well with other parts of the game. But Lydion Studios has taken note and released a patch and update list which basically integrates the DLC better into the base game, which means that unless you're going hard on the Anomaly DLC, the game is much more sort of how base game Rimworld was. So you have the different elements from the different pieces of DLC integrating with each other much better. Secondly, a couple of mods really caused me issues, so I ended up having to take them out. So the two mods that basically, well, it's actually one mod, but unfortunately the other mod required to have it. So basically integrated genes had to be removed, and that resulted in integrated Xenos having to be removed as well. Unfortunately, it's just how it was. Like, integrated genes was kicking up a lot of red flags in the mod checker when I was loading up the game, and that's never a good sign. So it had to come out, and it was kicking up issues with core stuff like XML extension and Jake's tools, which are things that, like, they're fundamental, like, framework parts of the mod list, so it was starting to cause issues down the line. So I took those out. Fortunately, in doing so, like I said, because the game is because we're so early into the DLC cycle for Anomaly, a lot of mods still being updated. My personality mod 1 and personalities mod 2 came back online, which was really nice. Felt very sort of atmospheric and sort of appropriate for the mod list, so I threw those back in. I also, much to my delight, where is it? Let me just try and find it. Callouts came back in, so that's basically I always like the callouts mod, adds a bit of character to it. And the other two mods that came back in just today, which I've integrated, which are mods that I really like having just for quality of life purposes. Where are they? They're down the bottom. Here we go. Doors expanded. I know that with the vanilla game now we have double doors, but they're really only a single door, which takes Go to make, and it's not really fitting in with the theme that I wanted. So I wanted the big double blast doors, all that kind of stuff, like remote controlled locking doors felt very appropriate, and also fuses, because fuses is just a really nice mod to have. So with those things all back in, the mod list is back, is where it is currently now, and we will dive into the next chapter of Sergeant Curno's story at Research Outpost 36. See you all in a minute, folks. Research Outpost 36, Logbook, Sergeant Curno. We have arrived at the outpost, and we have been here less than a day at this point, but night is now falling. My team, made up of the remainder of Alpha Company, a few specialists, and a couple of civilian scientists, have arrived at the outpost. There is no one here. Captain Hart is missing, along with the main body of Alpha Company and the MOD civilian contractors meant to rebuild the outpost. We have managed to uncover a number of graves, well, a number of sarcophagi dotting the facility, some containing civilian members of civilian contractors from the MOD team, and 1 or 2 members of Alpha Company, along with individuals that were not on the personnel register. I have ordered them to be removed from the facility and buried. We are to secure this facility, continue the research of the scientific team under our purview, and to find out what happened to Captain Hart and the rest of Alpha Company. I will continue this logbook in case of anything that happens. Good day. Welcome. Welcome, folks, to the continuation of Sergeant Curno's trips into madness. Now, night has fallen. It is very cold, and we still have a lot of coffins. Lots of coffins to go to get out of this place. Now, just straight off the bat, I will say this. I have been playing this game, like, not this game, but a version of this save in the background, just as a way of testing for mod compatibility and to see how everything is working. So, if I seem to know some things, it's because I have just done it already, to be honest. It's nothing personal, but I just wanted to get a better grasp of how the mod list was working. So, we're going to put down some basic orders. I realised why it was so cold in the base, because if we turn on the overhead roof, there is a hole in the ceiling because this is an artillery battery. So you're supposed to be able to fire it out into the surrounding area, which is very cool. But for the time being, not really what we need. So we're going to uninstall. It used to be you could uninstall these things. Yeah. Uninstall. Actually, we'd probably keep the game character for that now. So, first things first. Probably the captain, like Sergeant Curno, is going to give out orders. We need to get that hole in the roof closed. Allow enemies in. And all the heat out. And it's getting progressively colder out there. Okay. Also, I don't know why a pillbox requires power. I suspect for reasons, but Curno is going to Sergeant Curno is going to order all of the unnecessary electrical appliances deactivated. But this comes to the next major issue, folks. After searching the base, Private Jackson comes back and informs Sergeant that there have been no lavatories built. There's been no cleaning facilities. There is no hygiene facilities of any kind. So they need to figure out how they're going to get around this. And Sergeant Curno is going to think about it for a while. And the easiest course of action is that they are going to reuse the room that he's in. He's decided that for the greater good, he doesn't need to have his own room. He just needs to they need to get this sorted. So there are going to be some changes. First things first, they're going to block up this entrance, turn it into a double bathroom, one for male, one for female. Okay. Also, some basic stuff needs to get done. First things first, anyone that can mine is going to be put on mining for the time being. We are also going to put down some construction orders. We also, more than anything else though, is that the commander orders that a stockpile be erected in this room, the former artillery room. It'll give us time to get things done and dusted. switches everything off. He says anything that we can save power on, anything that can be relocated, put away. I'm just going to speed up time a little bit, just to get as much work done as possible. We're working on getting these bodies removed. Just some early burying of the colonists. Yes. First of all, we're going to remove all of members of the MOD team, as Sergeant Colonel has ordered. And then once all the members of the research team have been buried, the strangers will be buried separately away from everybody. Okay. Sergeant Colonel also says, right lads, we don't need to have all this heavy artillery in the base, it's taking up room. So I want you to break it all down, put it into crates, put it somewhere else. We need to free up as much room as possible. Yeah. Victoria, an engineer, she was one of the civilian contractors. Judging it as he does have a slight scratch scar on her arm, or on her neck. Right, and now that all the civilians and former members of the organisation are buried, we can get these strangers' bodies put in the ground, declares the sergeant. Corporal Amatoro, I also want you to start closing up access points into the base. We'll use some steel doors for now. Security approach in so it's harder for them to get around. And in the meantime, get everyone buried. And we need to start making this place more secure. And the corporal basically nods to her head and starts moving resources around. Also need to build another chair. So, with that done and the research put in place, we come to the main issue, folks, that the Sergeant Colonel and the rest of Alpha Team, or Alpha Company, and the research staff come across. We do not have any components, and it's a pretty long way from us being able to make any, because you need multi-analyzers, you need various bits of tech, and there are no SIP chunks on the map either, which means if we want components, we will have to go and mine them, which can be a bit tricky at times. Okay. We have only been here a day, and Private Jackson reports that he has just finished burying the last of the strangers' remains on the beach, which is more than satisfactory. The Sergeant Colonel, is very happy with what is happening, but we still need to work productively. So he orders concrete to be made. We have enough resources lying around that we can basically process. He also orders that we need to limit the access into the base, and the easiest way to do that for the time being is we're going to block off this approach so that any enemies coming into the facility can only come in one way. We also need to, as someone quickly points out, we also need to finish making the lavatory, because as everyone knows, it's not going to be pleasant. So, for the time being, we can't do the fancy lavatory because we don't have a septic tank set up. I believe, yeah, you need to have a toilet for. So, for the time being, we're just going to go the good old-fashioned wooden latrines. And we're going to put in wooden doors. We have enough wood. On that matter, we need to do some storage. So, let's put in a... Yeah, we're going to put a metal skip in. And we are going to put in a few... I mean, I don't mind the normal shelves. I mean, they don't stack as much. That's my only gripe with them, is that they don't stack nearly as much. Yeah, shelf here. I'd rather just put the wooden double shelf, to be honest. We can always get some more wood in. But there we go. Get that built. And I'm going to turn all the army officers off research, so only the scientists do research. Yeah. So everything is getting built. Supplies of wood are a bit of a concern, but we can still get the people on that. We're going to make a set of steel doors here. And the sergeant basically orders it to get it done. And while he relaxes in the break room. For hygiene purposes, they also come to the conclusion we have one of the scientists finds a location where we can set up a rudimentary well. Alright. So here, as always, we're going to go one, let's say, raw resources. And this is going to take steel. This is going to take wood, and it's critical for that. Critical for that. And this is going to take concrete. Okay. So everything's going to get basically put in there. Bathroom set up. We've got Dr. Sumet finishing the doors there. Have a well set up. So yes, the sergeant looks around and he's happy. He basically is content for the time being. Next task that his team has to get in working order is that they need to get some kind of kitchen set up. Their food supplies won't last forever, and he is concerned by what the impact of eating just raw meals will be. So, 1 second, folks. Sorry about that. So, Sergeant orders the first major expansion for the facility that they are going to dig out. When they actually come to look at it, it seems to be less what a natural rock formation and more appears to be tumble. So orders are put out by the sergeant to anyone who has any kind of digging experience or is physically fit to help them clear this sort of seems to be like natural landslide from the area, so they can turn this portion of the base into an extension, probably into a kitchen. Right here. So, before I do anything, we need to put some creation down. I've used people too. Okay. So we need some stuff to keep the people entertained. Basketball net. Wooden horseshoe. Yeah. Always a good way of keeping them trained. Gives them something to do. Right, down here. We don't have to worry about that right now. But the soldiers are taking their time. Some of them are working. Sergeant Kerno and Sumeta currently excavating what turns out to be a relatively good amount of iron. But yes, work must get done. So we're going to increase the speed too. As the day goes by, some people do some tasks such as cutting wood or breaking down the large rock tumble. Or Jackson takes a bit of a break, plays some horseshoes in the background. Not the most intellect in the sports, but we do have a television as well. Gives a bit of variety. All in all, the base is coming along quite nicely, thinks the sergeant. It is still relatively old-fashioned. It seems to have been designed off a design from at least like 40-odd years ago, using equipment artillery that they no longer use. So it is a fairly outdated fortification, but still a useful fortification nonetheless. While they're working, Dr. Sumet brings up a good point. The sergeant was worried about personnel, that they didn't have enough personnel to cover the facility. But as this is happening, a message comes in from over the radio link from command. We can do a loyal burial for Terminus. Alright, let's see. Do we have a Terminus buried here? Brave, Brig, Ask, Della, Benkin, Rin. Terminus, the sergeant thinks. Terminus. He knew somebody called Terminus. They used to be an old associate of his, and though the man is now long since dead, it seems only fitting that they have a small tribute to him in his memory. Who is this? Edun Runo, mystical director of East Tetuan, has died. Let us see. East Tetuan. Wish you could make it permanent. Right. East Tetuan. So it's one of the nearby sort of... Yeah, people lived for decades and centuries and have lost most of their technology. So basically they're like rural, industrial folk. Good to know. But that man has passed as well. But the sergeant brings up a good point. If we are going to hold a funeral for the dearly departed comrade, we probably need to appoint someone fitting for the role of moral counsel. So, the Cosma, who seems to be the most social of the scientists, is suggested to be the outpost councillor. So after a quick debate with the rest of the team, Sergeant Curnow steps forward and begins the speech, where Dr. Curnow quickly steps in and basically takes over, talking about his desire to serve the community, offering thoughts of his dedication to their beliefs, and the social structure of how individuals need to work together. It's a nice speech, if a bit sort of academic and tedious for some of the people involved, but now Dr. Cosma can provide spiritual and moral advice for those who need it. And to be honest, it's probably a... Where are you going? Get there and finish. Okay, that's done. Come tomorrow, you can hold the funeral. The funeral for the man that Sergeant Curnow sort of remembers, though everybody else hasn't got a clue who he is. So, Corporal Vale has a bit of time off to play horseshoes in the dark because, for some reason, people like playing horses in the dark. It's always a bit of a strange thing, I'm not going to lie. We'll build a second light source here. Gives a bit of light. Because dark, we all, come on guys, we've all seen horror films. The last place you want to be is in a dark bathroom. Right here. For the time being, Sergeant Curnow isn't going to appoint himself to be outpost leader. He's going to see if they can recover. They're going to see if they can recover Captain Hart first. He's the highest ranking officer of the operation. So, they have a good amount of food, 133 survival rations. Probably want to start saving those. So, once we get the kitchens up and running, the sergeant declares it's probably we need to really put down some kind of farming setup or hydroponics. Enjoying a bit of horseshoes as well, sir, I see. I forgot to turn that off. Yep. That is my mistake. Some things are still restricted. I forgot to turn stuff off. Yeah, but Sergeant Kernow's out there in the dark, just doing a rhythmic tossing of horseshoes. Gives him something to think about in the wee hours. But yeah, we can't build any kind of heater yet. We haven't got enough components, and the problem is I really can't afford to waste any of the components we have on the map on things that aren't 100% necessary. Yeah, so things are going to be a bit nippy for the time being. Everything's enclosed, but it's not great. Power supplies are going up. We could disassemble some of the batteries if needs be, but I want to try and store as much of the power as possible. Okay. Got another recreation type up, which is fantastic. We've got a little concrete nerf target which will give shooting training. Relaxing and trains the shooting skill, which for our soldiers is actually pretty important, so we should probably put that on for our soldiers to keep them up to task. In the meantime, the rest of the team are focusing on clearing out the remainder of this rock slide. Rock slide, yeah, it's a rock slide. We have a basic steel tailor dispense, allows us to make some clothing, some bits and pieces if we feel like it's needed. Uniforms, repair some of our equipment, that kind of thing. So we have a concrete mixer, we have a clothing table, we have a basic... Oh, we can make components. Where's this? A loom. Oh, so we can make components. Ah, fantastic. I didn't even realise we had this, folks, so I've been stressing about not being able to make components. Make basic kitchen. Okay, fantastic. And actually solves a lot of our issues. Okay, so we have the basics of an industrial complex going. We do mean we have to take this electric lathe at all times. It is super important. It is super important. Also pull that down. Keep the workers working, just pulling all this stuff down. Yeah, we're starting to run out of space. But we do need to clear this building here. Okay. So that's all cleaned up. We've got lights in there, which is fantastic. But this is our primary focus. We need to get this cleaned out. But Jackson, if you want to do something, cut the remaining trees. And we do have cloth sandbags, which give actually fairly decent cover efficiency. But we can't set up any kind of defensive structure. What I want to know is why you're not doing research. Thank you very much. Because like we need to like really be cranking out the research here. Storage. Yeah, let's reinstall that there. I'm going to reinstall that there alongside that one. Okay. This can have metal as well because we'll need it for. We'll need it for the lathe. So any overflow from here can go into that. Okay, we're chopping all this down. Fantastic. With components, I will put in an order now, since we can make some. Make 6 components. We'll put a heater in the room. The place is warming up. I just want enough components floating around that if needs be, we can do stuff. So, Sergeant Colonel orders that this sort of garage area to be cleared out. Yeah, we're going to reinstall this here. We'll also put a chair in front of the kitchen, so when we need to, we can basically have Jackson do some cooking. But yeah, it's all about space economy here in the fortress. We are limited on what we can use, so we need to get as much out of the space as possible, the Sergeant declares. So all this is basically tidied up. Fantastic. The next thing. We can't deconstruct Citadel walls because they're absolutely tough as nails, so we need to think of a different solution. But for now, we need to get a kitchen up and running. Steel doors is fine. Not the most glamorous kitchen in the world, but it will do the purpose that we need it to do. So the Sergeant orders it to be done, and Dr. Sumet and Corporal Amata set to work. Well, Corporal Vale is set to the long task of doing that. Will you basically get here and do research? I think I actually need to set... Yeah. There's some people that really shouldn't be having tasks that they're doing, to be honest. Rescue is fine. Doctoring we can do. The only thing that I particularly want them to ignore. Cleaning is probably something that the doctors don't need to focus on. Okay. Just to be aware, making components is time consuming. So it is something that we cannot spend a ton of time on. Okay. So, with the power connected, to some of it at least, yeah, let's get that in. Okay. Something like this. And we have a visitor. A group from the Union of Iril-Kulakar is visiting the colony. Where? I mean, it's nice to see what these people like. Bit of a decade and have lost most technology. Okay, so I mean, one's got a gun, and they've both got guns. What's their ideology like? Just individuality? Okay, so it's not a huge threat. Neither of them are well. But as this is happening, I do remember that we do need to have... The sergeant does remember that they do need to have the funeral. So... Does all go out and remember this person that no one actually really remembers, to be honest. Yeah, I talked about beginnings and the ends. Maybe it's more like a general service for everyone that has been lost. They discuss offering fortune and death as the path to dignity, talk about nobility of sacrifice. And we discuss absent friends. Let's see how this goes. It is a good funeral. Yeah, so it's like Dr. Cosma manages to actually be relatively efficient about this. Get things set up. Yeah, so they have light now, and they have the basis for a building. So we're going to throw down some concrete. I'm going to make all the doors look the same, just because otherwise it will drive me around the bend. But yeah. Man, I do miss the no blocking I do miss the no blocking mod. It still hasn't been put back in yet. So it could do with some work. So the first batch of mods the first single component comes off the line. I am going to throw it into the bedroom just to keep everybody warm. We do have like a single component. So it's not like broken. Our ability to make components is extremely slow. But it'd be enough it's going to be enough to keep the room at a fairly good temperature when people sleep. Okay. Prototype construction ready. Yeah, tiles, that kind of thing. So we can make. We have got the this kind of mod in place. We can make prototypes. Production. Yeah, we can make prototype smelter, smithy, field kitchen. We don't need to make another field kitchen. We can put down prototype floors. Production-wise, I am probably going to put down a, because we don't have electrical smelter. Yeah, but we don't have electrical smithy. That's a more advanced tech. So we are going to put one of these down. Really wish we didn't have to make it out of metal, but it has to be resistant. Okay. With that in place, we can go to production. We are going to go and say we are going to use how much is a... Ooh, that's a lot of components. No, like an electrical butchering table is not worth it for that amount of components. So we're going to just put a normal butchery table down. Do that. Next thing we need to focus on is getting enough resources together to make a cooler, over-the-wall cooler for our food storage, the room. Because that's going to be an important thing to have. If you can hear that, it's him playing basketball, and trust me, I know it's loud. But yes, so he's working away making components. Fantastic. Everyone's busy little beavers. Let's see what this person has, because you're actually in my base, mate, and the sergeant isn't happy about this. What do you have that's actually worth our time? You're not going to buy a lot of stuff first besides the clothing. What's this? X11 E4. I mean, can we even get that? No, we can't. Unless we want to sell medicine. But I'm not really wanting to sell medicine. Components would be nice. But that would be... But we don't actually need any more guns, I just realised. Yeah, so let's go and grab the components. Yeah. Right, he gives us 2 components. We sell a bit of clothing. That's fine. I just want the components. Yeah, they're leaving. That's fine. But with that, and the one that Vale is currently making... With Vale currently making that, I just realised I forgot she has the workaholic trait. So she will work beyond reasonable state. Kerno's just fine. Kerno's just going for it. For those of you wondering why it's so quiet, this is one of the side effects of the mod, is that we get quiet periods and then everything hits the fan. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. We don't need any more concrete. We've got quite a lot already. Just store it away. Fantastic. Yeah. I am going to reinstall some of these defenses, though, up here. Because we need to basically... Because we only have one way into the base. And I want to keep it that way if I can help it. Something like that. This seems to be a good setup. All these other ones we don't really need. So we can deconstruct them from materials. Fantastic. So it's been actually a fairly successful day. Okay. And the sergeant's going to work through the night while the rest of his team are sleeping, just to get things set up into a position where we feel a bit more comfortable. Some things do need repairs. Yeah, like the chemical station breaks down, so we need to repair them. Constant maintenance. For anything that we don't have switched off, degrades at quite a good pace, so we need to keep an eye on that. Okay. Let's put components. No, I can't remember how to spell components. Oh, it's com, not con. Components can go here. This is something that we know what we're working on. Yeah, we failed at the smithy. We have enough metal, that's fine. Everything else is getting put in place. Material stored away, everything is good. So we have a nice little functioning research outpost. The research outpost is in a good state. So if I wanted to, I could probably turn back on some of these defenses if we need be. We could also tear down some of this stuff or convert some of this stuff to an outer ring of defense. I do not know yet. Okay. Vale is sleeping. Get up, Vale. You can have something to eat, and then you can go back to work, because we need to get this situation here fixed. Okay. Working away, tirelessly working away. Some of the soldiers are a bit bored. Trust me, that's not going to last. Right. And there we go. With that done, we can put over the top vent in here. And the next step of our project is coming along nicely. The smithy is being finished up as well. It gives us access to some basic tools. Rightio. It's not in a great condition, but it still was made. It's getting fixed up. Yeah. So that's getting filled up. So now we can make stuff like we can make melee equipment mostly. So axe, knives, tools, that kind of thing. Make repair hammer, all that good jazz. So if needs be, we have things that we can use. We have the cooler setup. We have the butcher creatures. Do forever, and make sure they have at least have the cooking skill of 3 to do it. So that's done. And now we just need to put some storage boxes and stuff down, and we have the fundamentals of a base. And our research outpost 36 is coming along nicely. But that's for all, folks. I shall see you all again next time. I've been Cornish-Knight. This has been Sergeant Colonel and the rest of Alpha Company as they settle into research outpost 36. And I shall see you all again soon. Goodbye.